welcome back to Cruising as Crew. My name is Lucy, and today I wanted to go through why being on a world cruise isn't all it's cracked up to be. So when people do their research about working on cruise ships and they find out that cruise ships actually do world voyages, that's what everyone wants, including myself. I wanted a world voyage when I first started my cruise ship career because I was like, well, that seems like an insane way to see a lot of places in a short space of time, and it just seems epic. However, actually in this video I'm going to go through why being on a world cruise as a crew member isn't all it's cracked up to be. So yeah, that's what we're going to go through, and if you're interested then stay tuned. The first reason that being on a world voyage isn't all it's cracked up to be is because of resting. Sounds stupid, but you need to remember that you are going on this cruise ship to work. You are not going on vacation, which means you are most likely going to work your arse off. You're going to be working a lot of hours, which means you're going to need to rest in between shifts. Otherwise, after 2 months of being on board, you are going to burn out. As I have shown on this channel, some days are really exciting and I'm out in port exploring, seeing new things, having a wonderful time. But there's other days where I stay on board, I do my laundry, I have a nap, I just stay in my cabin and rest, because you have to recover. And with the itinerary that I am doing on the Valiant Lady, I am able to do this completely guilt-free because we're repeating ports every 3 weeks. So I know if I don't get in France this week, we're going to be here in a few weeks. So I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything when I take my rest days. However, if you are on a world cruise, you will most likely be doing a different port every single day, or they'll be interspersed with sea days, but you won't be repeating ports, which means that to take a rest day, you have to miss a port. And I'm sure that while you're sat at home, you're like, well, yeah, that's fine. You're not going to want to miss a port because you're only there once. It might be your only chance to see this place. You don't want to take a rest day, but you have to take a rest day. Otherwise, as I said, you are going to burn out pretty quick. So it's just a bit rubbish in that respect, because it means that when you do take a rest day, you will feel guilty, or you will feel a bit miffed that you're like missing a port, or you're going to push yourself to go out in these ports which you can only do for so long. So the benefit of being on a cruise ship that repeats ports is that you can just chill and not feel guilty or not feel like you're missing out on anything. Number 2 is spending. So you are going to be in a new port every day. You've probably never been there before. You're going to want to go out and explore. If you're not having a rest day, you're going to be exploring. And that costs money most of the time. Like, obviously you can do it for free if you're in a port where you're able to walk to various places. However, in some places you just have to get a taxi or a train to be able to see what you want to see. You know, and then you're probably going to want to buy food outside, maybe have a little drink. So you're going to be spending money every day, which means it's going to be really difficult for you to save money during your contract. Now, on the one hand, if you're on a world cruise, I would just absolutely scrap the idea of saving money, because when are you ever going to be able to see all these places again? Like, saving money should not be your priority on a world cruise. It should be seeing and enjoying these amazing places. But I do know a lot of people start work on cruise ships so they can save money. If you get on a world cruise, that is going to be very difficult. Hitting targets. So while there are many jobs on board that have nothing to do with targets, there are some that do, like mine, for instance. I work in the shops, if you work in the spa, if you work in the art gallery, the photography department, bars, you will have targets to hit. But these world voyages are normally very long, and the only people who really have that amount of time to travel on a cruise ship and the money is people who are retired, you know, elderly people, more mature people. So the demographic mixed with the amount of time that they are going to be on board doesn't really bode well for hitting your target. Now, obviously the targets will be made with this in mind, but like, they're not going to spend money on board, because if they're getting off every day in these amazing ports because they're on a world cruise, they're going to save their money and spend it outside in port. Isn't that what you would do? And also, there's no urgency. Like, for example, if they come to the shops and they see something they like, they don't need to buy it now because they're going to be on 3 weeks later, so they can just get it in 3 weeks. So what I'm trying to get at is, If you have a job with targets, it's probably a commission-based job. You're not going to make much commission. Everyone I've spoke to who has done a world cruise, who works in an environment where targets are prevalent, aren't making much commission just because of the length of cruise, the ports they're going to. Like, no one's going to spend their money on board when they can spend it in Thailand. It's not the be all and end all, but it's just something to be aware of. But what I will say is, because you build a relationship with these people, because they are on for so long, the tips tend to be a lot better than you would receive on like a 5 or 7 day cruise, which is really, really lovely. So it's going to be hard to hit targets, but hopefully the tips will kind of make up for that. Sea days. If you are doing a world cruise, all the ports will be interspersed with days at sea, because you'll be travelling from port to port. Usually the ports that you go to are quite away between each other. Like, you're not just going to be going around Spain, like you're going to be going from country to country, which means there's going to be a lot of time spent at sea. You're going to be crossing a lot of oceans, so you probably will experience seasickness at some point. And seasickness is really, it's awful. Like, honestly, it's so shit if you're seasick and you have to work. Like, it's bad enough being seasick and being a passenger so you can just go and lie in your bed, but if you're seasick and you still have to put on a smile and go to work, like, respect. It's tough. It's really tough. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be some rocky seas. It's just like inevitable if you're doing a world voyage. And also, this is another thing that makes it so tiring. So as I've said in many videos, sea days for the crew members are the busy days, because obviously all the passengers are on board, so everyone is there to serve. Whereas port days, you might be working, but there's no passengers really anywhere, so it's a lot more relaxed on port days. So this is another reason why it's so tiring. It's not just the fact that you're going to be going out in port every chance you get to see these amazing places. There's also a lot more sea days where you're going to have to be on the ball, because you're going to have, you know, a ship at full capacity to maintain. Everyone's an important part of the machine. So number 5 is routine. It is really, really difficult to get into a routine when you are doing a world cruise. The best itineraries that I have ever done for routine purposes was the one I did on Oceania, which was leaving out of Malta, and honestly this one that I'm on with Valiant, because every week we are in Ibiza on Friday and Saturday, and we're in Barcelona, which is embarkation day, on Sundays. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday are the same every single week, but then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are different ports every week, and it's rotated every 3 weeks. Now, the reason this is ideal is because there are enough ports that are the same for it to be comfortable, and there are enough ports that are different for it to still be interesting. Like, I'm not absolutely bored out my mind of the places we're going to. It means I start work at a similar time every day. I can predict how busy it's going to be based on past cruises, whereas if you are on a world cruise, you have no past cruises to base anything on, most likely. Every day is very interesting, very new, but it is hard to make a routine because nothing is the same. You are in a different place like all the time, and you might be sat there and be like, oh well, I'm not really a routine kind of person. Well, okay, but you're a human, so like, you're a habitual creature, and there is a certain part of you that needs routine, literally to preserve energy. The reason this is difficult is because it does lead you to burn out faster. Like, it is more exhausting when you can't get into a routine. Money exchange. You are going to be exchanging money quite a lot because different country all the time. And if you're not exchanging money because, you know, cash is slowly becoming obsolete, you're going to be using your card, which means that you, hopefully not, but probably will be getting calls quite frequently from your bank saying, so you tried to use money in New Zealand yesterday, and now we've seen that the card is trying to withdraw money in Australia. Like, is this you? Because they're obviously trying to make sure that there's no fraudulent activity on your card. But I know friends who are like, my card is constantly getting blocked by my bank because they're trying to stop fraudulent activity, but it's not. It's just her going from place to place to place. So if you have cash, you'll be exchanging all the time, and if you use your card, you're going to be dealing with your bank all the time. which is super frustrating when your time is quite limited anyway. Always changing time zone. Going from place to place, it's inevitable that you will change time zone a lot. So just an example, when I was on Radiance and we did a crossing from Alaska over to Australia, Sydney is 18 hours ahead of Juneau in Alaska. Yeah, so it's exhausting, like really exhausting. Now, a crossing is a little bit different to a world cruise. Like, you know, you might go 1 hour forward every few days, so it's not as bad. However, you can all probably relate to how knackered you feel just putting the clocks forward one night in a year. Can you imagine doing that every other night? Yeah, it's a lot. You're going to find it hard to find time to just do your bits and bobs things. Like, laundry is a bits and bobs thing. This is just what I call it. Doing your nails, plucking your eyebrows, taking a nap, cleaning your cabin. Basically life admin. That's a better name for it than bits and bobs things. But life admin. When you're at sea, you're going to be working probably 12 to 14 hours on that sea day. And then the days you are in port, yes, okay, you have time. Well, hopefully you have time off to explore the ports, but that's just it. It's not time to do life admin, it's time to explore the ports. For example, I would really struggle to make YouTube videos on a world cruise. And people say like, oh my God, that would be amazing for your channel because you would be in a different place every day. Well, no, it wouldn't, because I literally wouldn't have time to edit, upload, do all of the admin behind what you see here on YouTube. It has to be done. And if you're on a world cruise, most likely you'll have to sacrifice another port to get your life admin done. So the ninth thing that, you know, makes a world cruise not all it's cracked up to be is, yes, you're going to all these amazing places. However, you are getting a snapshot. You are going to see probably the main tourist attraction. You'll have some lunch. You'll have a nice drink. You'll have a lovely, lovely time. However, you'll literally probably not even scrape the surface of the country that you are visiting. Whereas for myself, because we are repeating these ports, I now feel like I have seen a good amount of Barcelona. Obviously, there's a lot I haven't seen, but I've bimbled around. I've been to a few restaurants. I've seen all of the tourist attractions, but I've also been to, you know, the places that you would only go if you live there, because we're there so often. So the thing that's really lovely about being on a cruise ship that repeats ports is that you actually get to know where you're going. It's not just, you know, take a few pictures of the most famous tourist attraction and then get back on the ship and go to the next one. You really get a sense of the places that you're going. And number 10 is the food. Not so much for the passengers, actually not at all for the passengers, but for the crew. The food is very, very hit and miss because, again, we're in Barcelona every week. We order pretty much the same food every week, I would imagine. We get the same food delivered from the same vendors. There's a certain continuity to the food that we receive in the mess. However, when you're on a world cruise, if you got your first delivery of food in Sydney, but now you're in Alaska, you're not going to be getting, like, it's going to be different. Which means that sometimes you'll go to the mess and it'll be really, really nice. Sometimes you'll go to the mess and you're like, why is fish head soup the only thing available? Or chips or pizza. So it's really like hit and miss with the food on a world cruise, because the ship will obviously place an order of food that they need, but most likely they don't know what they're gonna get because they've probably never got it from that place before, you know. And when it hits, it's great, but when it misses, it's not great, because sleep and food will have a huge impact on your overall mood. I'm a poet. And, you know, if you work on a world cruise, both are going to be hard to keep tabs on. Like, the food will be changing all the time. Sleep, well, you'll be needing a lot of sleep because you'll be so busy. So I asked some of my friends who have done world cruises what their advice would be for anyone who's going to be going on a world cruise. Which you probably don't want to after watching this, sorry. Because you are going to be so busy, you're going to be at work all the time, then you're going to be seeing these places. It's really, really important that you take care of yourself. Like, if you're doing all of this and you're going to crew bar and getting wasted every night and you're eating shit food, I mean, you're just not going to last. Like, you literally are going to have to go home halfway through the contract. So if you are doing a world cruise, you need to maybe take a step back from crew bar, make sure you're getting to bed on time, getting enough sleep, eating healthy, going to the gym. Like, you are looking after yourself so that you can sustain, or so that you can maintain this really busy lifestyle of sea days and seeing these amazing ports. And for that reason, they recommend that a world cruise isn't your first contract. Now, a lot of people you don't get a say in this, but the reason I say this is because your first contract, you absolutely want to do everything. You want to go to crew bar and dance the night away until 3 in the morning, and then get up at 7 to go and see this amazing place, and then go to work, and then do a sea day the next day, and also join in on the karaoke evening that they're putting on for the crew. Like, your first contract, you absolutely want to do everything, and you will do everything. However, you're going to be knackered. So if you're going on a world cruise, just take it easy. Look after yourself. Look after your body, look after your mental health, and make sure that that is a priority. Now, for anyone who's watching this who's like, I'm going on a world cruise, oh shit. This video is not meant to make you feel shit about a world cruise, but it is just going to highlight the things that you need to watch out for. It's obvious the things that you need to be excited about, and you should be excited about it. It's amazing. You're going to see some cool places. But anyway, guys, I really hope you have enjoyed this video. Thank you again for hitting 20,000 subscribers. Like, I just can't believe that we have a community of that many people. Like, it is just so wonderful. If you do have any video suggestions, things that you want to see, then you can leave them down in the comments, or leave me a message on Instagram at Cruising as Crew. If you have any questions, you can message me. I do try and get back to everybody. But yeah, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, whatever you decide to do, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.